It's time for my TBR to get destroyed. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Chris. Today's video is the self-published / indie releases of February 2024. That time of the month where I buy way too many books and that I'm never going to be able to read because there's just so many books to read in this world. But I get excited about them every month, and here we are. As always, these lists do not come from me. Go ahead and check out Rob J. Hayes' blog, which I'll pop down below if you want to get involved. There is also a link there that you can click if you have a release coming out. You can pop it on the radar for these lists that come out each and every month. Before we jump into the list today, make sure you check the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord should you want to come along for the ride. Now, we are joined by Ari today in this office because she refuses to stay in her bed, and I'm just being dad today. So you're just going to see probably her tail and her butt go around as we work our way through this list. So February starts off with a bang on February 1st with The Blood Fountain by M.H. Woodscourt. This is the Mark of Valaith, book number 3. Chosen by birth, rejected by fate. I read the first one of these last year and I really enjoyed it. So YA epic fantasy. I really liked the first book. I have books 2 and now 3, and I have not read them yet, but hopefully at some point I will finish the series. This is quite charming. It's a little bit dark, but like not to the point where I would call it dark fantasy. But this is epic YA fantasy and one I've had a good time with so far. Also, on the 1st of February, we have Woe to the Stargazers by Alex Schipper, and this is epic fantasy. I really love this cover, and I love the title. It says, heroes strive to the end of the world. Villains fight to save it. Keldy just wants to go home, but it's too late. He's been sucked into this backwards debate with no way out, forced to choose. Either preserve his spoiled, rotting reality or obliterate it forever. Either side with the selfish, narrow-minded saviors or join the misguided bringers of doom. Saints clash over holy ground, cults squabble and scheme in secret. Divine weapons are forged and shattered until the morality of creation itself is brought into question. Why begin if the end is inevitable? Why live only then to die? Keldy doesn't know. Keldy just wants to go home, but he must make a decision. Which side would you choose? It sounds quite philosophical, and yeah, I don't like. This cover is probably not one that would normally scream to me, but I'm really digging it. Also on February 1st, and probably my favorite cover that I've seen come out this year, or actually Last Rock. Last Rock's cover is pretty good. But this is Smoker on the Porch by Dom Watson, and this is incredible. It's giving Stranger Things vibes. This is urban fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. This one says 1989 Suffolk, England. All the children saw it. Out there in the nighttime swirl of dreamy sleep, the house of sweet things, it promised full bellies forever. On the periphery of childhood to adolescence, Jake and his friends wonder where their lives are heading. An accidental encounter with Francis William Bigot propels them into a battle for their souls, not just their own, but those of the whole world. Jake will face a choice and a journey like no other. Be at Bigot's side or Bigot's side and have the power of a god, or be a boy. It sounds like a lot of fun. If anyone's read this one, please let me know. On the 5th of February, we have Tao Wong, who is no stranger to these lists. This is Fool's Bond, System Apocalypse Kismet, Book 2 by Tao Wong and David R. Packer. This is Sword of Sorcery and Lit RPG. I feel like Systems Apocalypse has been around for a long time now with the main series, Australia, and now Kismet. Because even in the Apocalypse, some people just get more annoying. That's pretty funny. Moving on from there, on the 6th of February, we had Traitor's Tome, or Tomb, Traitor's Tome, 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 Death's Disciple Book 2 by Emma L. Adams. And this is an incredible cover. I love the blue dragon happening in the background there. This is epic fantasy and the follow-up to Death's Disciple, which I really do need to read at some point, but it is a book 2, so I will need to move on from there. On the 10th of February, which is the day of filming, so lucky for anyone who has bought this one already, is Imperator, The Great Hearts by David Oliver, and this is grimdark sci-fantasy. And another really cool cover. It says progression comes at a price, but it is a book 5, so I will need to move on because we don't want to do spoilers for anyone reading this series. On February 12th, we have City in the Dragon's Eye. This is Dragon Rake, book number 1 by Jordan Loyal Short, an author that I really do want to read their sci-fi series. I think it's called Skull's Black Universe, or maybe that's the name of the first book. But this one has come out, and this is a much lighter tone than the dark of the sci-fi series. This is epic fantasy and Gaslamp. It says Victor's magic is turning him into a dragon, and it's not pretty. To save his friends from a deadly ambush, Victor drew too deeply on the power of the dragon well, and now a magical tumor has begun to change him, one scale at a time. Victor sets off on a quest for a cure that will lead him to a remote sanitarium. Here he will uncover a mad Doctor Strange experiments, a very stubborn dwarf, and rumours of an ancient mirror that may hold the key to Victor's very survival. As a secret society of dragon fanatics closes in, Victor must choose between the power of his transformation offers and the hope of finding a cure. To the fabled tyrant's tomb, Victor races the mysterious Thule society where deadly traps and cryptic puzzles protect a treasure of unspeakable power. With every heartbeat, the tumor's corruption spreads. Can a court dandy and a disgraced scholar help Victor find his cure? Or is it too late to save the city from a mad doctor's dark designs? Now, I do just want to skip back to February 1st because I did miss one that wasn't on this list, but I know released on the day. So on February 1st, we also had Slipspace, Terra, Nulius by Zachary Forbes. This is the author of Three Rivers Plague, which I read last year. This one says, 2 brothers, 2 empires, and 2 definitions of what it means to be alive. Slip McCannon is a disgruntled veteran of the Terran Straits Republic, having retired from service when mechanical artificials slowly took the place of his living, breathing compatriots. He is caught up in doing private work in the outskirts of the known galaxy when a strange job falls into his lap. It involves a girl, an ancient oil deposit, and all the money he needs to retire his aging mother. But his brother Breth, who still works for the Republic, has sworn to uphold the law by any means necessary. A major promotion hangs in the balance, as well as the future of warfare across the galaxy. This one sounds like it's going to be a wild sci-fi. I quite liked Zach's writing in Three Rivers Plague, so I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I should be reading this one towards the end of February, so watch out for a review. Jumping back to our chronological dates, we have February 13th with Undead Samurai by Baptiste Pinson Wu. This is sword and sorcery, and it looks really cool. I'm very much looking forward to reading this one at some point in my lifetime. We've got Japan 1623. A new drum master has risen, and soon the nation will fall to the curse of the Izangai. Answering the call of his Kotsuzumi, I'm so sorry, anyone who speaks Japanese or lives in Japan. I really hope Rachel does not watch this. I'm sure I buggered this up before in my anticipated releases. Anyway, we'll start that again. Answering the call of his Kotsuzumi, dead warriors abandon their peace to once again roam the land of the living, swinging rusty blades and chattering rotten teeth at his behest. Japan's last hope lies in the hands of the 9 warriors gathered by the young daimyo of Owari. To reach Onima, where the source of the curse's power awaits, the 9 will not only have to face swarms of undead samurai, but waves of shinobi mercenaries, but even more dangerous to their mission, their inner demons. Against the undead, the 9 only have 2 choices, fighting as one or becoming them. Again, I apologize for butchering nearly all of that blurb. On the 14th of February, the Valentine's Day, we have Sword and Sorcery and Romance coming our way, The Prince of Shadows, Stories of Geryon by Camilla Voruk, I hope, and this is the book 3 of the series, so I can't go too much into that one, but it is nice that we have a romance coming out on Valentine's Day. Jumping over to February 21st, we have the Ordeals of Ornland. This is the Kenyan Chronicles, book 3 by Eric P. Calabot. This is epic fantasy and sword and sorcery, and a very cool cover. I have just skimmed the first sentence of the blurb of that one, and I don't want to give spoilers away, so let's just look at the purple in this dragon's bony torso and just appreciate the cover for the glorious piece of art that it is. Moving on to the 22nd of February, and one of these books that I've been looking forward to, and I haven't read the second one. Bad, Kris. This is the Chronicles of Earth by C.L. Jarvis. This is the Edinburgh, I think it is. I say it wrong every time. The Edinburgh Doctrine, book number 3. This is historical fantasy and gasland. What I love about C.L. Jarvis's writing is that she takes things that have happened in history and people that have actually had influence out of the 18th century and turns them into fantasy stories. So in the first book, we were talking about phlogiston, again, probably pronounced that incorrectly, which was something very real that was being looked at that time as a chemical component. And turn it into magic, and it was just really cool. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with this series, but it is a book 3, so we'll have to move on. On February 24th, we have one of my anticipated releases, something I've had the pleasure of reading already as an alpha reader, and this is the Bastard Heirs by Helen Reig Pedersen. This is Reverter Rising, book number 2. So Helen wrote Waking Ursa Minor, an epic fantasy, a fantastic epic fantasy, moved on to doing some romantasy, and now we finally get book 2 of the Reverter Rising series. This is one that I can't wait to see how it changed from when I read it initially, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I cannot gush about this more, but the cover's pretty cool and it's up there, but it's a book 2, so for anyone who wants to avoid spoilers, we will move on. On February 27th, we have Serpentus. This is the Relic of War by A.J. Calvin. This is epic fantasy, grimdark, and sword and sorcery. Dispatched to Stonehill to oversee the city's defences among nebulous rumours of the Shadow Council's threat, Owen Greenwaters must rely on the city's guard and its natural defences to protect its citizens. But when an army of mythical hooded ones bolstered by a sea serpent and the Solace arrive in the wake of a terrible storm, he knows there is little he can do beyond hope the walls hold and pray to the gods that he and the Stonehill's people will all survive. They are outnumbered, outmatched, and without magical support. Owen is the only knight present in the city. They will be overrun. The soulless are merciless and rarely take prisoners, but Owen and the survivors of Stonehill are exceptions, and some fates are worse than death. That sounds fantastic. Not for the people inside of the book, but I'm very interested. On February 27th, we have Born of Scourge by S. Jean. This is epic fantasy and grimdark, and a really cool cover. I'm digging that cover here. This one says, legends say when the skies grow dark and Scourge starves the land, a star will fall in order to save humanity. Only when the star is sacrificed at the end of the journey will light return. It's a cycle, one humanity refuses to break because stars are plentiful and their sacrifice is easier than learning the true nature of the Scourge. When Soul finally falls, it's not because of humanity, it's because he's had enough of watching his brethren be sacrificed. He has one goal, end humanity and end the cycle. This sounds really cool. Unfortunately, he has to pretend he cares before humans get wise. It doesn't matter how soft the princess who captures him is. Selena will be dead by the time his journey ends, nor how kind his assigned companions are. The outgoing Mira with her ballads, the brave Nabora with her axe, and the hero Lauren with his soft voice and friendly smile. For centuries, humanity has lied, and their kindness is a ruse to bring about Soul's own destruction at the end of his tale. He will not be fooled. No one cares about the cries of the stars they've destroyed over and over again, and Soul will make sure this time humanity is the one sacrificed. At least that's the plan, until his traitorous heart begins to care for the humans he sought to eradicate. That sounds lovely. I'm very interested in that one. And on the 29th of February, we have Queen of Hearts. This is Empire of Shattered Crowns by May Frater. And this is epic fantasy and sword of sorcery. The first line here says, only one can wear the crown of Dante. But it is a book 4, so we will have to move on from there. There is. We missed one from February 5th. This is Last Rock by Phil Tucker. I did mention this one as being potentially my favorite cover of the year when I thought about another favorite cover of the year. This one probably takes the cake here because I love purple. Last Rock came out on the 5th of February. This is the Immortal Great Souls book number 3. So if you're a Bastion fan, if you like Rascal Plains, book 3 is ready to be read right now. This series knocked my socks off as in terms of progression fantasy. I've only read the first one. I'm very delayed on listening to the second book, and Last Rock has just been released. My friend Mark is reading right now, and he's loving it. In fact, he's been texting me while I've been filming about how much he's loving it. So, Mark, you've been shamed about texting me while I film on here, but that one came out on February 5th. Sorry for missing Slipspace and Last Rock as we went through on their correct dates, but they both did release in February. Those were the February indie releases of 2024. What are these books that are calling your name? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.